I'm not sure I covered this or not, but if I covered it, I'll cover another aspect of it, but you let me know if I covered it or not. The question is from a person who's trying to protect his gaze and the lengths that he's going to in order to protect it. So he says to the teacher the following, that in order for me to safeguard my gaze, majority of the time or some of the time, I try to stay out of the village. And especially for the prayer of Dhuhr and prayer of Asr, I try to stay out. So somebody said, like, why? What does that got to do with protecting the gaze? And because because I stay out, I don't get Dhuhr and Asr in congregation. This is that the reason being that in front of the masjid there is a water well, talab, hawd. In the olden days they used to have hawd, and hawd is those big masses of water that you used to have for people to make wudu. I don't know if you've seen them. I don't know if you know of them. Do you know of them? Mm-hmm. And then he goes, whilst we are praying salat, usually the women are all coming to the water wells and to fill the water. And because majority of the time my gaze falls on them, I try to stay away outside of the city in order to that my gaze does not fall upon non-mahram women. So it goes, the reason is that I didn't want to fall into any type of fitna. So the answer was given. It goes, in the situation that you are asking, so salat is not mu'akkad. It's not necessary, because if you're outside of the city limits, if you're outside of the village, salat is not, the congregational prayer is not necessary, right? It's not wajib, it's not sunnatul mu'akkada. So because you're excused, so you don't have to worry about missing the congregational prayer because of you being outside of the village. But now comes the question that he's doing this on purpose so that he doesn't need to get to the congregational prayer because he wanted to protect his gaze. The Sheikh didn't say anything to him in regards to that, but the reason I believe that the Sheikh didn't say to him that you're outside of the city limits and you're trying to protect your gaze, and that would be the salatul, to protect the gaze, is it wajib? And the congregational prayer is sunnatul mu'akkada. So he's saying that if you are doing that, and because you're outside of the city limits anyway, then you're excused from the congregational prayer, and at the same time you're protecting the gaze, so that's fine. Did I mention this last time? I didn't. Now, the next question is quite a long question. It's a one-page question, but the answer is gold. Subhanallah. The answer is diamond. So I have to mention the question in order to go to the answer, what the Sheikh mentioned. And this also tells you about the human nafs and the reality of the human nafs. And the human nafs technically is ourself, right? Ourself, meaning your nafs is you. Yes or no? The nafs is that, what if you had to define the nafs, how would you define it? Your desires. Ibrahim.
True self.
Your true self. Okay. What else?
Everything about you.
Everything about you, your personality. Okay. What else? Define. Continue. No, there's no wrong answers. Muhammad. Pardon? Your inclinations. Okay. Sajid, what do you think?
Your untamed self.
Your untamed self. MashaAllah. What else? By the way, you're all defining it. What else?
Gut feeling.
Your gut feelings. Okay, what else?
The base self.
Your base self. All right, base self. Define more. More. Yes. Say more.
Question.
I'm inviting you. No question afterwards. Let's finish.
Unquestioning self.
Unquestioning self.
Path of least resistance.
Path of least resistance. Man, just do what your nafs says is the path of least resistance. Innate. I like that. I like that word. Okay, what else? Anybody have a further defining word? Intuition. Okay, intuition. What else? Default. Your default status. All right. Anybody else? A defining word for the nafs. There's no one word that can define it, but all of these words define it. I don't know about the unquestionable and the path of least resistance, but but there definitely would fall into the, like, the nafs is a path of least resistance, because technically, if a person says, what's the word of one who makes his desires his God? أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who has made his desires his deity, his God, his worship, meaning he worships his desires? So your definition would fall underneath that technically anything that the nafs says, you say sami'na wa ata'na, whatever you say, sir. How high do you want me to jump? Right? So technically, if a person does everything, technically, if you were to do everything your nafs says, where will that put you? No, forget the technical definition of it. Put that to one side. I want to know, where will it put you? Where will it, as it relates to you as a person individually, if you were to do everything that your nafs asks you to do and wants to do, where will you be?
In jail.
In jail. One person said in jail. Agreed.
Hospital.
You would be in the hospital. Who said that? You would be, I don't know why, but yeah, okay. But I will agree with you that you will be in a hospital. But well, what else?
In hell.
Could be, well, but we're talking here in this world. But you will be in hell in this world too. But that's right. You will be an animal. Okay, you would be an animal. What else? What else? Where else would you be?
Big trouble.
You're in big trouble.
You could be very successful.
You'd be a slave, somebody says online. Yes?
You could be very successful in this world.
You could be. You might be successful because some people see it as a positive, right? But at the same time, you'll still be in an internal turmoil, right? So not to weigh it up against worldly success, because we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the surah where suqufun min fidda. What's the surah? Surah Zukhruf, right? And that obviously there's worldly success attained to disbelief, but that is connected to disbelief. So yes, that's there. What else?
A restless heart.
Sir? A restless heart. I definitely agree. You'd have a restless heart. You'd have and you don't need my input to prove that, right? So this person is, he thought, whatever you thought about your nafs and whatever you thought it was, this person is saying this is what happened. He's saying a story that happened. Now, the story is not a pretty one, but I'm going to say it anyway. So the story, shall I give you the abridged version or the long version? Abridged version. The abridged version is of one is like, so he goes, listen, I was one day sitting in my house, and in the villages, I don't know if you know village custom. Has anybody lived in a village here? One person, 2 people, 3 people? Okay, village custom. It's not like here people knock on their doors and it's like the neighbors come in, this guy comes in, hey, assalamu alaikum auntie, and hello uncle, and everybody. It's like a very casual type of an environment. So he goes, somebody online said you would be a loser, and if you were to follow your nafs, you would be a loser definitely in as far as the hereafter is concerned, yes, be destroyed and be the cause of destruction to others. Absolutely. So the village is a casual environment. So this guy goes, my mom was in the room, but she's she had difficulty seeing. She was in the room. One of the girls next came to my house from the from the neighborhood. She says, "Uncle, can you write me this letter?" So I says, Uncle said, "Oh, no problem." Because I was looking at my mom. My mom can't really see properly. I goes, "Yeah, no problem. Come in." Yeah. So he goes, "I thought to myself that I had full control of my nafs." He goes, "I was so confident of my nafs that had somebody, if a non-mahram woman would lie next to me, I would still be able to control. That's how much confidence I had over myself." He goes, "As I was writing this letter, a few minutes didn't pass where my nafs said to me, there's talk in the village that this person who sits standing next to me, her character is not so good. So maybe you want to test her character." Right? The nafs first thing, he goes, "Maybe you want to test her character, see if she's like, So he goes, I immediately said to my nafs, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." How could that be possible? Stuff like, keep on writing the letter. As I was writing the letter, he goes, that that thought became more and more stronger. It took root in my heart until I just I started asking her, I casually started speaking to her. Now, as I knew that I had control over my nafs, suddenly I blurted out and I asked her for a kiss. I asked her for a kiss. As moment I asked her for a kiss, immediately my heart turns towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I sought forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I immediately removed myself from that area. He goes, I was saved by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I now realize that I do not know my nafs. I realize that the confidence I had over myself is not there. If it wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saving me at that moment, things could have gone out of hand. And by the way, as far as writing letters is concerned, I have completely put a stop to it like that. In that case, I do not, I will not do that ever again. This is one page in an abridged version of it, all right? Answer. Because I needed to inform you. So Sheikh answer. Good that you informed me. Very important here. It's good that you inform me. Why? You tell me why. Not me tell you why. You tell me why. Why? Why did the Sheikh say this? And really, honestly, if Sheikh would have just stopped on this answer, I would have accepted it. It's good that you inform me. Why? Tell me why. You tell me why. Ibrah for himself. What else?
To see if he's also feeling guilty about it.
To see if, he did inform him because he was feeling guilty about it, right? Why?
The Sheikh can't help what he isn't told.
Sheikh's not alim al-ghayb. Sheikh is not alim al-ghayb. He cannot know the unseen. And number one, he can't help somebody who does not want help. Number one. What else?
He's accepting his fault.
He's accepting his fault. What else? He's accepting his fault, and further to add on, he's seeking Islah. He's seeking Islah. And because he's seeking rectification, and because he's seeking rectification, Sheikh is saying, good that you told me. Now that you're asking for rectification, you will be. It is a step in the right direction. It is a step in the right direction. If you're going to conceal from the doctor what the sickness is, yeah, man, I've been having sort of dizziness and this and that. Doctor says, does it happen in the morning? Yeah, it sometimes happens. He's not telling him the true story as to why he's feeling all of this, right? He's not telling him that he spent the whole day underneath the sun. He's not telling him afterwards what he did. He's not telling him the whole story, but he's complaining about he's giving the part of a problem to the doctor. The doctor is only going to give you part of the solution. Right? So he goes, a man who thinks himself to be such an intellectual, had so much confidence, had put so much confidence in his nafs. Second sentence. What does that tell you? What does that tell you, Mr. Sayyid Javed?
Overconfident.
When you're overconfident, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Your hands, what happens? Or when you're driving and you're not thinking, that's what happens. Or you're thinking and your mind is somewhere else. This is what happens. Yeah? Lucky you came today. But khair, he goes that after being such an intellectual, you try to test yourself with in that type of a situation. That wasn't a very good move of yours. He goes, how can you trust your nafs? How can you trust your nafs? That that you will willingly put yourself in that type of a position. How could you just trust yourself like that? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved you from his grace. But now ilaj is necessary. Now ilaj is necessary. Now ilaj is necessary. Because he sought it. Because now ilaj is necessary. Because the amount of time that you used to dedicate to dhikr and making muraqabah, and the adhkar and the awrad and tasbihat and the durood and etc. 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 Increase half an hour on that. And that half an hour must be dedicated to nafil salat. Half an hour increase, but in that half an hour dedicated to what? Nafil salat. He goes making dhikr and reading tasbih and salat ala nabi, and because this is you find some pleasure in that. There's still some pleasure in the nafs for it. There's still some pleasure in the nafs for it. I want you to actually for now completely leave it. And all the time that you used to doing dhikr, muraqabah, I want you to dedicate, in addition, half an hour. All that has to be dedicated to what now? Nafal salah. It goes, continue this up to the 10th of Muharram. Now, I'm not sure what the date was when it was prescribed. But I am sure that this prescription was not given for 2 days or 3 days or for 5 days. I'm sure of that. It goes, next time your nafs starts taking the easy way out, your nafs takes the path of least resistance, it goes, say to it that I will burden you and put upon you the mujahada of salat. I will put upon you the mujahada of salat. Because then the nafs will very quickly back off. Very quickly back off. This is what the Shaykh said. And mashallah, mashallah, there is such beautiful advice. I want each of you to analyze it. I want each of you to internalize this, what the Shaykh has said to him. And I want each of you to understand that salah inna nashiyat al-layl hiya ashaddu wat'an wa aqwa muqila. That sometimes in order to rectify the rebellious nafs, you have to put it through strenuous exercises. Without these strenuous exercises, it will not come underneath your control. And somehow, even if it submits to be under your control, it's that submission, even that submission is false. And even that submission, when it does submit to you, that, and to think that it has submitted to you and to think that you are in control of it is also a false confidence that you have on yourself. There's no reality to it. The nafs is a habitual sinner. The nafs is in a state of habitually sinning. It actually wants to seek pleasure in different things, different things, and it will seek it out until you do not put some reins on that. It will continue. And the best way to do that is to pray salah, is to pray sunnah, is to pray awwabin, is to pray tahajjud, is to pray all of these extra salat that will increase your hold and grasp and your control over this rebellious nafs. You understand? After look, the strength, the discipline that we put it through in Ramadan. You couldn't imagine putting it through like tonight, or like, okay, inshallah there'll be Qiyamul Layl tonight. You know, like we're just going to casually pray salah. Huh? In addition to the 20 rakat, right? So there'll be 20 rakat tarawih, and then there will be Qiyamul Layl. You'll be the only person standing here. But in Ramadan, it was like different, right? Because you put yourself through some strenuous, you smashed the nafs. When you smashed it, something else came out of it. Something else came. You crushed it, and that crushing, something good came out of it. The more you crushed it, something else will. The more you crush it, something's going to come out of it. And now you don't go running after what comes out of it. Sometimes what happens, a person crushes his nafs and he sometimes feels some ladha, some pleasure, some in his ibadah, and wow, and then he starts running after the pleasure. That pleasure is going to keep running away from you. The outcome and the sweetness, if it comes to you, it comes to you. If it doesn't come to you, don't seek it. But the suppression of the nafs is more important. The suppression of the nafs is more important. As long as there's a continuous stream feeding it, it will continue to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. What are the streams that feed it?
Social media.
Social media, top one. I think that nowadays social media is like top number one. Number two, what's the streams that feed it?
Your friends.
Your friends. All right. Agreed. Number three, entertainment. Who's saying that? Entertainment. Okay. Muhammad. Okay. Number four, the environment. Absolutely. The environment feeds your nafs, right? Number five, food. Absolutely. Food does. The more you eat, the more stronger your nafs has become. Ask me to prove that. Nobody. Okay, I'll prove it. A guy is hungry. He's starving. He's on the side of the road, starving. The starving guy, is he worried about getting married?
No,
No, why not?
you need food first.
Is he worried about robbing a bank? Is he worried about getting, like, that was his main focus. The guy's starving.
Food.
He's got stones on his stomach. What does he want? Food. All right. You gave him some food. And then you gave him some, nice chicken. And then you gave him some kebabs and some, biryani. And then, a few days later, he got his strength back.
Yeah.
Once he got his strength back, now what? Now he had a nice shower, nice clothes on. Now what's he going to want? What does he want now?
Get married.
Now he wants to get married on the fourth day. But his nafs is, do you think that the state that his nafs was on when he was hungry on the street and the state that his nafs is in 4 days later, is it the same?
No.
It's not the same. It's not the same. That means that the nafs, if it is deprived of something, if the nafs is deprived of things, is actually also it also stops it from trying to desire many things also. That's why in the olden days, when you used to go in these disciplines and trying to, okay, I want to fix mine, they would deprive you of food. They would deprive you of food. They say, okay, eating less. And what else does a nafs like doing? Sleep. Who loves their sleep? 8 hours of sleep. Who needs an 8 hours? Who's on an 8 hour cycle? Okay, who's on an 8 hour plus cycle? Ibrahim?
Like throughout the day, you kind of want to get it.
Yeah, you count all the little naps together also. Astaghfirullah. 8 hour plus, Allahu Akbar. Who's on an 8 hour cycle? 6 hour cycle? 5 hour cycle? 4 hour cycle? 3 hour cycle? Nobody can be like, oh, no way. But even the 4 hours, who put the hand up for the 4 hours? Aqeel, Sayyid Javid, what do you do for the rest of the night? You're not married, you don't have, what do you do? I know what the whole bookshelf that you have of Islamic books, that's what you're studying. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Mister, you'd rather be sleeping than doing something else. Yes. You understand? I need you to have at least, like, a person have about 4 hours sleep before Fajr. And after Fajr, if you have to go to work, you have to go to work. Then you have to sleep at least 5 hours before you go for Fajr, right? In the summer, you have to wake up early, right? But, a man who stays awake at night, who's not married, who doesn't have to really go work that early in the morning, let's take a guess what he might be doing, what that person might be doing. Not like he's doing it, but what that person could be doing. What do you think?
Watching TV. Many things.
Many things. Give me one thing.
Wasting time.
Wasting time. Okay. How is he wasting time, guys?
On his phone.
On his phone. Right? He's just browsing on his phone. Right? What else is he doing? Chatting? Inshallah to his wife, right? Laziness. Yes. What else is, look, you'd rather be sleeping rather than, or who plays games at night? Ibu, come on, just say it. Listen, Ashik's been playing games with somebody invisible called Ibu at night. I don't know. I hope you tell him that. But khair. But guys, listen. Night time is precious time. For the young men who are unmarried, and for the unmarried individuals, you should go to sleep. Go to sleep. Because if you continue on your phones and if you waste time, that one thing is, that stream that is going to empower the nafs is there. That nafs is getting stronger and stronger because it's it's continuously being fed. You've got to cut the streams. You've got to cut what enhances and makes the nafs more powerful. But khair, look, today we ran out of time because we had the nikah and then we had the practice. Jazakallah khair, but inshallah next week we'll continue from there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the divine guidance, tawfiq to act upon what has been said. And also, inshallah, we'll do muraqabah after salat, inshallah. Immediately after the sunnah prayer, everybody is sitting muraqabah, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanallahi al-azim. Subhanallah, alhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim.